Hello. Hello. Hi, kids. How y'all doing?
Sir, I got right here.
No, you didn't. Go right ahead. Hello. Hi there.
Sure.
Go right ahead. No?
I like your sticker. I need one. Yeah, I need a sticker. We're going to get a sticker real quick. What's wrong?
John Stephenson.
Good
How
to
you
see
doing?
you.
Nice to see
Yes,
you.
I'm Amy Ritchie. We've met a few
Oh,
times.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to ask me the same tonight? Or?
Probably not because we've got music at the end and I'm already 13 minutes behind.
Okay, no
But
problem.
otherwise I would because I enjoy it. Thank you, Derek. But
Hello.
Northern Kentucky 2020, formerly Burlington March for Life. So we are only 16 minutes behind schedule. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I know many of you, I wish we could make it later, but our priority is to make it back to IHM by 7 o'clock for a holy hour. So that's why Father's really good at 5 o'clock and out the door, and we try to keep this event here so that it's handicap accessible. It's also a little bit later, 5:30, 6:30. Oh, I'm out of breath and running at the end, so. But anyway, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'll do a quick introduction of myself. Also, please keep helping yourself to hospitality throughout the event. You're welcome to the whole time as speakers are speaking. This is a family-friendly event, and we care and love all of you, so we just want you comfortable just didn't fit in my house, so we have to do it here. Through those doors, left and right, are the restrooms. And if you didn't see it on the way in, but you do need it on the way down, there's an elevator right here to my right, your left. So, real quick, just really short about this building. This is what we call the historic courthouse in Boone County. This used to be a courthouse where I stand as the judge, and I wish I had that kind of power, but I don't, not even in my own house. That's okay. But from what I understand, when court was in session here, abortion was illegal. And so I would love to keep having the march and meeting here, and hopefully we just keep filling it more and more every year until we can say that we marched here until it was illegal again. Quick about myself, Amy Ritchie. I'm the coordinator of this event. Father Nick did tell us quickly there, but this event actually was originally inspired by Father Andrew, a Carmelite priest who is in India. And he simply pointed out that those marching in D.C., that we should all be in unity in our presence and our prayers across the country. So here we are. I'm the coordinator, pro-life coordinator at IHM. I'm also the coordinator liaison for the Diocese of Covington Respect Life Office. I'm on the executive committee member for the Boone County Republican Party. My husband and I are the Respect Life chairpersons for the Kentucky Knights of Columbus Respect Life Office. I am a mom of 4, and they're all here. I'm not going to call them out because they would not like me. But most important today, I am a friend to the unborn, and I believe that they need more friends, and I'm glad that you guys are all their friends. But because I first believe that each of us are made in the image of God, I feel called to sacrifice my comfort zone to do these rules to the best of my ability and to invite the Holy Spirit daily to come and make something extraordinary out of my ordinary. I know that I am ordinary, and so are you, just in case you didn't know that. I'll just bring it down a little bit. And so are all of our speakers, so are all of our givers. But through our willing spirit together, we are something extraordinary. I thank you for being here today, and I hope that you're ready to be inspired to be just as extraordinary and upholding the dignity of life. Really quickly, I want to say a few thank yous. Thank you to Father Rodman and Father Shaper for always being supportive of such pro-life efforts. They don't tell me no. I'm sure he wants to sometimes, but he hasn't yet. To Mike Whitlock and the guys, Boondockers at IHM, for providing our hospitality this year. To all of our speakers, and to Brad Whittle, who will be providing a little musical inspiration in a little bit. To all of our elected officials who are here, and those who have called me on the phone and talked to me this week, that they are all constantly upholding their promise to defend life. And to each church community, to our leaders, to our youth, to our families, and to every marcher here and all across the country and across the world. So, because we're behind, we're just going to jump straight into our first speaker. This woman is very, very dear to me and my family, and I'm so thankful that if you've not met her yet, I'm glad that you get to meet her tonight. Mother Serafina is the director of Rose Garden Mission, and she's going to talk to us tonight about upholding the dignity of life and probably a lot of other amazing things.
Franciscan Daughters of Mary, that's the community that we belong to. And in our community, each of the sisters makes vows like every other religious community of poverty, chastity, and obedience. You know, just following the evangelical gospels that Jesus set forth for us. We become spouses of our Lord Jesus Christ. But we make in our community a very special vow to Jesus. We vow to him that we will uphold the dignity of every human person. From the moment of conception until natural death. And everything that we do is a reflection of that vow. We're the only community that's ever had that vow in the history of the church. That's what makes us unique. And so I'm just so grateful to Amy and everybody here really for giving witness to life. And you know what, it's not just solely about the babies. It is about the babies. And we need to uphold their dignity, and we need to give them the respect. But it's about upholding your dignity too. That's where it starts. It starts by upholding your dignity and the dignity of every human person that I meet and come in contact with, so that they know that they are worthy of God's love, that they are worthy of God-given gift of life that they have. You know, in the book of Genesis, in the very first chapter, you know, I brought the good book with me, praise the Lord. So we'll be paraphrasing scripture. Nobody likes to paraphrase. Well, some people do. And I do at times as well. Sorry about the delay here. So, you know, right in the very first chapter, God created man in his image. In the divine image, he created him. Male and female, he created them. In his image. That means when I look at you, I see the face of God. You have such great dignity. I think it's almost an illness in our society that we don't know the great dignity that each person has. You have unbelievable, eternal dignity with God. And we uphold the dignity of, I'm sorry, I can't seem to get this microphone right. We uphold the dignity of the human person by treating you with the love and care that you should be treated with. So at the Rose Garden Home, the sisters and I run in Covington, we were predominantly a pregnancy care center, even though we're mostly known for giving out our food. We see 200 to 300 families a day for food. But we were predominantly a pregnancy care center, and we help moms and babies and families, and really just to let them know that they are worthy. They're worthy of our love and they're worthy of God's love. And that is what changes the heart. You know, we had a lady that came into the Rose Garden one time, and she had a little stroller, and she brought her son in. And she goes, I just had to bring him to meet you. He's here because of you. You were so excited about my pregnancy. I was going to go and have an abortion. I didn't tell you that, but I was going to have an abortion, but I couldn't do it because you were so excited about my baby. And it just comes because we treated her with the great dignity and the child in her womb with the great dignity that they deserve. And so I encourage you all in everything that you do, you know, just recognize the dignity of each person, you know. How many times, and myself too, has it been so tempting, like when you're distracted, not to pay attention to somebody. But you know, that communicates a message that they're not worthy of your time. And you know, I'm guilty of it too, and I have to repent of it all the time, that, you know, your time is the most important part of it. And giving people your whole and undivided attention. It tells them, well, somebody thinks my life is worthy. You know, we have a medical clinic at the Rose Garden, and the director of our medical clinic, Sheila Carroll, she said that, you know, she had called a man one time that she hadn't seen for a long time. And he made an appointment, he came in, and, you know, because she hadn't seen him for a while. He came in and he said, you know, I just had to come in and tell you that I had decided the morning that you called that I was going to end my life. But since you called and you cared, I thought maybe I could live another couple of days. The man is still alive today because somebody cared. So it's about babies, absolutely. It's illogical to think that, you know, it's not a baby in the womb. It was never a tree. It wasn't a horse. It was never an antelope, you know, that the mom's carrying. It's always a baby, right? So it's illogical. It's scientific. So we know that. But it starts with making mom and each person know that they're great worth. Anyway, thank you for letting me speak to you today. God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you, Mother. So next, we'll just move along to our next speaker. This is former state representative, Kentucky State Representative Dee Wuchner. She's also a member of the National Pro-Life Women's Caucus, national spokesman for I'm Alive movement and WHAM. And she's going to tell us more about that today. Where'd she go? I already lost her. Dee Wuchner.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. You know, as a pro-life advocate, as a wife and a mother, as a woman, so many times I've stood here, but it always warms my heart. It's a sense of joy that I feel when I see those that are there for life. And Mother, thank you for your words on the dignity of every human life. To see Christ in every person, that dignitata that comes from God. I'm here this evening to talk about, and I'm going to talk about what you see. I'm Alive and ProLifeWoman.com and WHAM and organizations that are, they're not even organizations, they are the grassroots, they are the heartbeat that you all have these stickers on and that you may have seen on Fox News. They came right out of Kentucky, they came out of a law that we passed. I want to say, first of all, I wish you had the state rep here in Boone County. I want to thank you for allowing me to serve you, to represent you, to be a voice for the unborn, for all Kentuckians and for our community. I want to thank Representative Ed Massey, who stepped up and took my place and is now serving, and Representative Joe Fisher, who's also here. You know, we just had the celebration of Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King said, when there is injustice anywhere, it is a threat to justice everywhere. And as he marched across this country and pleaded in nonviolence, that was the civil rights movement. Well, a few years ago, we changed the dimensions, and because God had put in my heart that we quit using their language, even the language of abortion, quit using pro-life and pro-choice. Yes, we're pro-life, but let's talk about which rights are these. These are the civil and the innate human rights of unborn children. And we started even putting that in the title of our bills. So there was no mistaking about these. This is the civil rights and human rights argument and battle that we are in. And as you walk today, and I thought of you as you were walking down the street, I think about this. You're walking in solidarity with every woman who's gone with a heavy heart and had no one with her. You're the Simon that is there to carry her cross when she's considering an abortion. The Simon who was with Jesus. You're the Good Samaritan that Christ calls us to be when we walk and when we stand for life. Someone recently said to me that, you know, there's been lots of pro-life marches and movements. Aren't you getting tired? And I said, until there are none. Until there are no more children that are lost in the womb of their mother. No, we don't get tired. John Paul II. And I know sometimes it can be, is it ever enough? But we keep walking, we keep praying, we keep making laws. Lawmakers continue to make laws. I thought in January, almost 2 years ago, January 2018, I was in the hospital on the 17th, 18th, and 19th. I made a decision at the pleading of my children to leave the General Assembly at the last minute. People were upset because I was leaving. They thought it was, but I was ill. I made that decision, as I said, someone else, God sent someone else to take my place who was pro-life and had those same values, and thank you. But at the time, I was also felt like I had let God down. What I couldn't see in God's hand that He had another plan. And in the workings, as you see the banner today, was the I'm Alive grassroots movement. Because if you recall, 2 years ago, I stood up here and I said to you, we can continue to make the laws, and we'll make the laws. And now we're ending up in the court system, and that's where our next great battle is, in the judiciary system. And that's where I've gone on to, and we'll talk about that. But unless we change hearts and minds, a scared mother, a scared woman, a scared father, man will always think the abortion is the answer. Terminating, making this child that was unexpected go away is the answer. So all the laws will not change hearts. It's up to us, one heart at a time, one life to bear witness. So what I didn't realize is I left the General Assembly that was percolating. There was a group called Changing Hearts and Minds. And they called me, and I didn't know what they wanted me to talk about. I gave them mine, we got to change hearts and minds. Well, that's what they were doing. And out of that grassroots effort, I'm Alive was born. It was born because we were called, a bill that I had passed in 2018 banning live dismemberment, banning the live gruesome dismemberment of a child within their mother's womb after 10 weeks was now going to the Court of Appeals. Those signs were created for that hearing. Mother was there. Many of you came to Louisville for 5 days at the courthouse in Louisville. But it wasn't about the signs. We started to be the organization, the grassroots effort. And people said, well, do you want to become a legal organization? I said, no, it's grassroots. It's the heartbeat of changing hearts and minds. It's the child saying, hello, recognize me in the womb of my mother. I am alive. I am alive. I have dignity. I have value. Just like each of us have value. That grassroots effort ended up on Fox. Only God could have done that. But it also, what it meant to the attorneys who spend weeks and months planning for a trial and working, that we were there with them and did the press conference. That very bill, that very law is now, I'm going to plead for you, anybody that's available next Wednesday, right here close to home, we will be in the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, which has jurisdiction over multiple states. The federal U.S. Court of Appeals, that law has now moved up into that. ACLU is to continue to challenge, and the battle continues. So we will be there at 8:30 in the morning at 6th Street in Cincinnati. I hope some of you will join us. There's red scarf back there. We have red scarves because we stand in solidarity and I'm alive. And we don't protest. We stand there as the backdrop. The Attorney General of Kentucky will be there with us. Matt Cook will be here. We'll be doing the oral arguments on that case as we plead again. So next week, if you want to contact me or look me up afterwards, I'd love to have you join me, or you can check our I'm Alive website. We'll be putting information there. The ACLU is kind of on to us now, so they've now asked for equal time for the press to do our press conference. But I want to tell you, I'm Alive, the child gave birth to the mother, I say, in reverse. Because out of I'm Alive came another grassroots organization called Pro-Life Women and WHAM, Women's Health Advocacy and Media Group. Because I realized as a woman, we had no one telling the truth about women. No one educating about what's going on. I know because I can tell you there's nothing ACLU and Planned Parenthood hates worse than a pro-life woman. The media doesn't deliver our message. And so it was important that women began to know the truth about the dignity about themselves. And so those organizations worked, but it was the I'm Alive child crying out. So the next case we had was in the federal courts of appeals, and that was transfer agreements. And then we also had the ultrasound bill, which just happened to be another bill I did when I was in the General Assembly. This January, that bill climbed, made its way to the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court and the justices in their wisdom there decided not to take up that bill, which means that ultrasound and allowing the mother, offering her the opportunity to hear her child, I'm Alive, beating heart, was upheld by the federal courts. And I want to thank you because it's your walking, your prayers, everything that you have done that made that possible. That in Kentucky, a mother will be offered to see the child in the womb, the child that cries out, I'm alive, and to hear that heartbeat before that abortion is performed. And thank goodness for the justices that have been appointed to the United States Supreme Court because they upheld that. So please continue to walk, to pray, to join us. So Amy just wanted me tonight not to talk about laws and bills, but really to talk about these movements that are just movements of us people. And what, God has a sense of humor. He, you think you're going to just be sick and retire and take care of your grandchildren, but that's not his plan. I just want to leave you with some parting quotes. I'm going to read it because I don't want to paraphrase either, sister. So, Martin Luther reminded us that faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. And there comes a time when silence, or to remain silent, is betrayal. We will not betray the life of these children. We will not betray the dignity of the child and remain silent. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So your witness helps your friends to know that you bear witness. You know, I would be amiss if I left out one of my favorites, and of course, Mother Teresa, who always reminded us, who came here to the United States, who spoke before Congress and before the United Nations and at the prayer breakfast, always in the defense of this child that now says, recognize me, has its own movement that says, I'm alive. Thank you for all that you do for life, and continue, never become discouraged, because little by little, we are chipping away. Thank you for the privilege of being here with you tonight.
Thank you, Dia. Very much appreciated. See, ordinary people, just being ordinary, extraordinary, ordinary. So, next up, Kentucky State Representative, member of the Kentucky Pro-Life Caucus, Director of Lawyers for Life of Greater Cincinnati, Honorable Joseph Fisher.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you for your witness for life. I've been at this now for 22 years in the General Assembly, and believe me, the last 3 years we've experienced in the General Assembly has finally given substantial protection to innocent human life in Kentucky. It's because of you, your prayers, your efforts, your witness for the unborn that it's happened. When I started in the legislature back in 1999, we probably had maybe a dozen pro-life caucus members back then, and virtually all of them were from northern Kentucky. Boone County, in my book, is the pro-life capital of Kentucky, and we've been that way for the last 37 years. Believe me, we appreciate that. Pro-life movement has extended slowly throughout the state, but in the last 3 years, it has exploded. We now have over 100 of our 138 members in the legislature as part of our pro-life caucus, so thank you. Amy stated when they held court here in this historic courthouse, we protected human life from the moment of conception till natural death. 44 other states did the same thing at that time. But in 1973, 7 justices of the Supreme Court wiped out all those laws and all those protections. But believe me, the unborn have made a strong comeback in Kentucky in the last 3 years. And after 95 years, the people finally sent us a pro-life majority for the Kentucky General Assembly. And that's thanks to you. I was asked to talk about that progress that we've made in the last 3 years, the legislation and some of the litigation that's ensued. But I'll start with Senate Bill 5 from the 2017 session. The first week, and Adia will attest to this, the first week of the 2017 session is the first week Kentucky General Assembly had a pro-life majority. And believe me, we acted on that. That week we passed Senate Bill 5, which is the pain-capable abortion ban that prohibits abortions after 20 weeks. Planned Parenthood has never challenged that law, and based on the estimates of Planned Parenthood, about 1 to 3% of all abortions are performed after 20 weeks. So the people of Kentucky can rightly take credit for saving somewhere between 90 and 270 late-term babies from abortion since that law took effect. So thank you for that. Adia spoke about House Bill 2. That happened in that first amazing week. And as Adia has indicated, that bill has been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court It is now in effect for Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and every woman in those states will now have the opportunity to see an ultrasound of their baby before they make the decision to abort. As the Dia said, the transfer agreement law, that was passed in 1997, believe it or not. It was only challenged recently. And in September of 2018, a federal judge struck down the law, but the state appealed the ruling. And as the Dia indicated, we're still litigating that, waiting for a decision. But let's talk about some other bills that we've passed more recently. Fetal dismemberment bill. And that will be, again, challenged. That has been challenged. It will be heard this week in the Sixth Circuit. We've heard that we didn't draw a very strong 3-judge panel for that, two of whom were appointed by Bill Clinton. So it will take more of your prayers when you go to that holy hour. Please say a prayer for that case to be heard fairly by these judges, because all we're doing in that piece of legislation is prohibiting the dismemberment type of abortion, which is extremely painful, and it would seem common sense that that's something that the states could prevent. We actually prevent painful capital punishment. We have laws and constitutional protections against painful capital punishment, against folks that were convicted of heinous crimes. We protect them better than we do these innocent unborn kids. So say your prayers that we have a fair hearing on that. And last session, House Bill 5, the Abortion Discrimination Bill, and Senate Bill 9. That is the fetal heartbeat bill. Those two bills have also been enjoined from enforcement by the lower courts. And thank God we have now a Attorney General in Kentucky, formerly Governor Bevin. Staff has defended these bills in court, whereas our current governor and as Attorney General would never defend what we the people have voted to protect, innocent human life. But we're still, again, we should be able to protect. The abortion discrimination bill bans doctors from performing an abortion if they believe that the patient is seeking the procedure because of the gender, race, or disability of the fetus. North Dakota and Arizona have laws like that. The measure was signed into law by Governor Bevin, but the American Civil Liberties Union has challenged it in court, and it has been blocked. The fetal heartbeat bill, this is an attempt by the Kentucky legislature, your legislature, to prohibit abortions from the moment a fetal heartbeat can be detected. Again, that's how we measure life, correct? That's how we determine when life begins, or life ends for that matter, is whether there's a heartbeat. And you would think that common sense would allow us to protect anybody who has a beating heart at the end of life or at the beginning of life. Again, that law is being challenged. One law that I thought was interesting that it has not been challenged is what we call the abortion reversal bill. This requires doctors to tell the patients seeking a medically induced abortion. This is not surgically induced abortions, but medically induced abortions, that the procedure could be reversed. The measure was added to a bill that would require doctors to report all medically induced abortions in this state. So this is a new area of pro-life legislation that's going on. We do not have a good idea of how many medically induced abortions there are in this state. This bill will allow us to determine that, and it will allow the doctor, it will require the doctor to give information to the pregnant woman that she would have the opportunity before she takes that second pill to reverse that procedure. Now, looking forward, I'm personally looking forward to the day when Roe v. Wade is overturned. And that day is coming soon. So with that, I sponsored a bill last session which basically says that if and when the Supreme Court does reverse Roe v. Wade, then Kentucky automatically, the automatic trigger, we will protect again innocent human life from the moment of conception to the moment of natural death. House Bill 148 cannot be challenged because it hasn't taken effect, but the moment it does, we will protect all human life in Kentucky. Now, looking to the current session, what we're doing, the session that started 2 weeks ago, there are two major pieces of pro-life legislation we're proposing here. First, we have Senate Bill 9. Keep an eye on that. That will be Kentucky's version of the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, sponsored by Senator Whitney Westerfield, a strong pro-life advocate in the Senate. Passed out of the Senate committee yesterday. It's headed to the floor of the Senate for consideration. This is a loophole that we need to pass in Kentucky to protect babies that are actually born after botched abortions so that they have the right to life in Kentucky. So keep an eye on that. I look forward to that. It should be an easy passage. And finally, I have sponsored House Bill 67, which is the Human Life Amendment of Kentucky. This is a constitutional amendment that you all will have the opportunity to vote on in November. It says that nothing in our state constitution will ever be construed as creating a right to an abortion or requiring funding for abortion. We believe that this will garner the overwhelming support of the people of Kentucky. But you have to tell your neighbors. We have to get it on the ballot. 60 votes are needed in the House. We'll work hard to achieve that. But for the first time in history, Kentucky voters will have the opportunity to weigh in on the pro-life issue. I look forward to that in November. I thank you for all the support you have given us, all the prayers you have provided for us. And thank God for Boone County. You are the pro-life capital.